Hi y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Crafty Kara podcast. This is an episode about knitting, crochet, all yarny goodness, a little bit of sewing sometimes, a little bit of cross stitching as I've just endeavored into this crazy adventure, and a little bit about my life. I am Kara, and this is Friday, April 29th. And today it is going to be a stormy day. Right now it is the most sunshine we've seen all day. So I'm recording on my lunch break so I can hopefully get it done before the storms move in. This is why you have the hot mess hair pulled up. Naturally curly hair, humidity and rain. It would take up the whole screen. So it's up. Springtime with my hair is not always fun. It doesn't do what I want it to. So first of all, let's get started. I'd like to thank anyone who is a new viewer or who's watching for the first time, and any returning viewers. Thank you so much for coming back, and I hope you're enjoying watching. If you like the podcast, hit subscribe and like and continue watching. So let's see, introductions where I can be found. I can be found on Instagram and Ravelry as SK Morris 2, and I think that's about it on intros this episode. It's been a couple weeks, so I'm trying to get back in the groove. Had a rough week last week, so more about that later, sort of. So this week, let's go ahead. This may be a shorter one than normal. Knitting in the last week, 2 weeks, has kind of dwindled a little bit for me. I'm trying to get myself back into the groove. Had some weather issues and things like that. So, okay, podcaster love this week. Let's start with that. We're going to start with Jules of A Diary of a Yarn Snob. I love her. She is in Arizona, I believe, and she's hilarious. Cracks me up, says whatever she wants. I love it. I love her normal, natural personality. She makes you laugh. She thinks she's a beautiful knitter. I mean, the things I've seen her knit, and she said she's afraid to knit some things. I'm like, oh my gosh. You do great work, so good job, Jules. If you're afraid of knitting, then you're doing a great job because it's beautiful. And she makes some pretty awesome bags, too. She's going to open an Etsy store soon. I don't know when, but when she does, might have to go in there and buy me a bag. So that's the podcaster love this week, and then we're going to jump right into finished objects. The only two things I've finished, and I'll have my husband put a photo in at the end because I can't find my daughter's bonbon. She had it packed in her tornado bag, and I don't know where it's at, so I'll have to find it. I haven't put a picture in. I do have a picture of it. I just don't have the actual bonbon to show you. My son's was Flopsy, hers is Mopsy, and the third one that I'll be starting soon is my oldest daughter, and it'll be Cottontail. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail. And I named them. I didn't really give them a choice. They don't care. So that, and then I have some mitered squares finished. It's kind of a FO, reach over here, FO and a work in progress at the same time, because I finished, I believe this pink one is the one I finished, and then I'm almost done with this one. I thought I finished it. I didn't, and apparently put it down. So that's the 4 I've got at the new size. I need to start working some more on those. They need to move a little faster. So that's what I've got for this week on my mitered square blanket for FOs and the bunny. And then whips, I've got my smog socks. I showed you the finished one last week. And as of last night, I got to where I needed to start the heel, and that's when I went to bed. So I've got the sock toe up, and it is the smog pattern. Love this. It's real, excuse me, it's really cool. So, but I've got it to the heel. It's ready to turn. I'll probably do that tonight if the weather doesn't get too terribly bad. And I cast on, oh, did I bring it? Yes, I did. My Atwood shawl in my little bags that I made. So I cast on the Atwood shawl for the Mother's Day knit along, shawl knit along with the Yarn Junkie. And this just cast it on a couple days ago. So I've been kind of going back and forth between mitered squares and socks and this and everything else going on. So there it is so far. It's kind of wonky looking. I think I might have messed up right here and did like That or it just needs to be blocked. Like one, like it will stretch when it's blocked. Oh, I think it'll stretch when it's blocked. I thought I screwed up. Anyway, I'm doing those on my red lace needles. I didn't have the exact size it called for. They called for, let me see what size, because I can't remember. And I'm doing the small one. I was thinking I was doing the large one, but I'm not. I'm doing the small. It calls for US size 2s or 2.75 millimeters. I don't have those in bamboo or in my red lace. I've got 2.5, which is US 1.5. So it's half a needle size smaller. So it's going to be a little bit smaller than the other one. If I have enough yarn, I may add like an extra repeat or something. If I can do that with it, I might try to do that. Add an extra repeat to make it just a little bit bigger since the size. I'll check my gauge on it because I don't ever check gauge. I haven't made any actual garments other than shawls, so I'm not checking gauge yet until I do a sweater. So that's my whips and my cross stitching. I showed you the little bit of cross stitching that I had started the last podcast, and that's a little Christmas one, and it was on Ada cloth. And I've been listening to my friend Paula and listening to Sue from Legacy Knits about the even weave, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna try even weave. So I went and bought this, plus I really wanted to do this pattern. I went and bought the things for the even weave and the other floss that I needed to do this, because I'm going to do, this shows it on a towel, but I'm doing it on even weave in a hoop. These little sheepies, and this is Paula's book. Aren't those the cutest little sheep that you've ever seen? So I'm doing it in an oval shaped hoop, and I'm going to use that as the thing to hang it with because it's kind of rustic looking as wood. So I started that last night, and I got on this center one, I got the heart done and a couple of the little white speckles, which you can't really see the white speckles, but the little white speckles around it done. So that's what I got done on that yesterday afternoon. And let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Hold on, let's see. And my 11-year-old daughter, Lauren, she had cross-stitch stuff, and that's kind of what she had my husband's grandmother's cross-stitch stuff, and she never really, she tried to get into it, but didn't really because she didn't have anybody to do it with, and she likes to do things with other people. So my mother had bought her for Christmas was it last year? I think it was last year, not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before, an iPhone cover case that has cross-stitching pattern on it, and she was working on that. She's actually gotten a little bit of progress. It's got peace signs and stuff on it. So I picked mine up. Well, she picked hers up, and she's got some progress done. And I told her, when you finish a project, it has to be finished, but when it's finished, I'll let you come on and we'll record a little small segment for me to add in my video that I normally do, because she's at school, or I record this when they're not usually here, or they're out at friends' houses or whatever. So I'll record a little segment and put her in and let her tell you about what she's done and show you her finished object. That's her goal, is to finish it so she can come on and show you guys. That's hopefully what I'm going to get them to doing this summer. Plus I got some little cross stitch kits for her and my older daughter to get them both started. They're just the little starter ones, and maybe if they both get them done, I can have them both come on. I don't know if my older daughter will want to, but her sister can show it for her if she wants. So I couldn't wait on the sheep to start it, so I put the other one down, and I will be picking it back up after the sheep one is finished so I can have it for Christmas. I might turn it into like a little Christmas ornament, put a ribbon on it, because it's only like this big, and maybe glue it to adhere it to something solid, and that way I can put it on the Christmas tree or something, or hang it. Stash enhancement. I ordered, didn't know what I was going to use it for. I just wanted some of this speckled yarn, and I saw Andrea Sue Knits post a picture of this a couple weeks ago, and it is speckled pink, and this is by it's Lammy Toes in the colorway Party Pony, and it is Moon Pie Merino base 7525 superwash merino and nylon, 463 yards, 100 grams. And she sent me her cute little card and some candies. My son got into them. I got one of all the candies that were in there. There was like 4 little candies in there. I was like, seriously? So he ate the candy, and it had a little handwritten note on the receipt thanking me for my order and everything. So I got this. Didn't know quite. I was going to hold on to it. And that's the only thing I bought other than my cross-stitching stuff. But I posted it, and Amy from Periscoping Sisters, once again, she sent me a message on Instagram about my yarn, and we were talking about the Because I Love You wrap, which was her pattern. She gave me the advice, the red and pink that I had showed you before, that I was going to use with this pink that I had bought at the yarn store. She said, back and forth on Instagram, private messaging, you should use the other one. These two. So, because it's got this pink, it's kind of picked up in some of the pinks in here. So this is going to be Because I Love You wrap. It will be more of a contrast and pull out those colors on the other one. So, per the advice of the designer, I think I will go with her advice. I like her advice. Thank you, Amy. Other than that, that's all the knitting and craftiness that I've done in literally the last 2 weeks. Okay, so on to, I told you this was probably going to be a little bit shorter this week. On to life. We went dress shopping for my daughter for her band banquet, which is May 13th. And I don't have the pictures of her in it yet, but when band banquet comes around, which is Friday the 13th, I'll be taking photos that night. So that week's podcast, I will put the photos of her at the end of the video, and I'll post them on Instagram also. Had a great time with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and both my girls. Got her dress, got her shoes, got her jewelry. A friend down the street is going to come and do her hair, and we've got 2 or 3 ideas, and she's got like long blonde hair and just the perfect color blonde. You try to dye it and make it that color blonde. Yeah, I've done it many times. Usually doesn't turn out that way. I'm getting mine colored, by the way. I know that has nothing to do with it. Well, this is life things. See all that gray? 33. I look like I'm way older than 33. See all that gray? And y'all have probably noticed over the last year how much grayer my hair has gotten. And I just colored it back in December. Haven't colored it since because I'm going back blonde. Yeah, going back blonde. It's happening June 3rd of my appointment. She doesn't have to cancel or anything. My appointment's June 3rd. It's a long ways away. Had to book it like 8 weeks out, but my husband's cousin, yeah, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going back blonde. It'll hide the gray a lot better. Anyway, so she's got the perfect blonde hair, and that's how I want my blonde to look, but it never does. So we'll put pictures of that in there. Spring outside, I'll put photos at the end, or my husband will put photos at the end. We planted a bunch of bushes and flowers. I put them on Instagram already. We transplanted a bunch of stuff from our front flower bed that we just didn't like how it looked. It was getting too much sun to our backyard. I bought huge Boston ferns for my back patio. They were on sale at Lowe's. They're huge, and they were 2 for $16, and they were $13 a piece. A little bit of a sale. We did the front flower bed completely. We had to put a new pump in our fish pond. My husband made a fish pond 5 years ago for Mother's Day for me, and he had to put the new pump in there. So we took we had a big bowl, a big planter with rocks and stuff in it with water that would flow out the front of it. Well, it was just nasty and a mess, and we had to clean it out like weekly in the summer. It was awful. So he bought just the pump with the filter and the little squirt fountain out of the middle. So much easier. It's going to be so much easier to clean. The fish have a lot more room in there. Also, we have 9 goldfish. They started out like this big, and they're like this big. And you might be able to see them in the picture when I put it up. And they probably will get bigger now because there's no stones in the bottom to hold that bowl up, which took up a lot of space. And if you don't know, they grow to the maximum size they can get for what kind of size of container they're in. So they've got more room now. They may possibly get bigger. We're kind of curious to see. But we've had them 5 years outside. We never bring them in. They're just goldfish. They live out there. It gets cold. They just slow down swimming and swim at the bottom. So it's cool. The kids love it. My 4-year-old loves to feed them. The girls used to like feeding them 5 years ago. Now they're like, oh, whatever. He can feed them. They're too old for that, you know. So then we got to the weather. We had a tornado scare. Well, no. We had a tornado warning. We were supposed to have some really, really severe weather, which we may have some this evening too, so we've kind of got to keep our eye out. We had to get our things ready in our tornado shelter that we got, and the kids were home. I kept the kids actually home from school that day because they actually were saying it was going to be around the time my kids were going to be getting out of school, and if it happens at that time, they usually will lock down and they won't let them leave, even if you go get them, because they don't want to take the risk and the danger of you getting hurt, the children getting hurt, so they just keep them there. So I went ahead and just kept them home, which was good because the school released parents to come get their kids early and it not count against them at noon anyway. And they were sending them home half an hour early on the buses and stuff, which my daughter doesn't ride a bus. She lives too close to the school. So I didn't want her to walk home. So we just kept the kids home. Plus, between the high school and the elementary school, it takes half an hour to get my daughter out of high school. It takes forever. Then you have to drive back across and get my elementary school, which takes about 15 minutes. And then we're right here by the house. So it would have been an hour or so out getting kids and getting back home. And I didn't want to get caught. They were saying we might have like baseball size hail. We didn't. We had little bitty hail, a little bit of it, and a lot of rain. A lot. My backyard, it rained again last night, this morning, and today. And like I said, it's only been sunshiny and the sun's already going away. I don't know if you can tell in the video, it's already starting to go away. Storms are rolling back in. And the backyard looks like you could swim in it. Birds are loving it. My dogs are not getting to go out nearly as much as they usually do. They go out and go potty and come right back in because I have 4 dogs. And I don't want mud all over my house. So they don't care if they can stay inside. They don't care. They don't want to be out in the rain. My biggest dog's petrified of the rain. So we got all of our stuff ready in the tornado shelter, and it was like we were going camping. I have a new coffee pot I got. My other one broke, and the coffee pot I have now has a metal carafe to it. So what did I do? Yeah, an hour before tornado, weather, threat, everything, I had me a carafe of coffee. And let me tell y'all, everybody that knows me, in the evening time, this was after it lingered and lingered, it was supposed to be between 6 and 8. And I was like, oh no, that's after dinner time. That's when Mama has her coffee. And if I don't have coffee, I'm not very nice. And I get really sleepy. So I had a pot of coffee. I took my powdered creamer and a little plastic container of sugar. That is still currently the sugar and creamer, and some paper cups are in my tornado shelter in my tornado bucket. Yeah. So next time we have bad weather, if I've got any kind of notice, make it a pot of coffee, because we were going camping in the tornado shelter apparently. Kids had blankets and pillows and toys, and we were going to take my laptop with a DVD in case we had to stay in there for a length of time. And they were really excited. They were really upset, actually. We didn't have to go in the shelter because it was the first time we were going to use it. And they were ready. They wanted to go camping in the shelter, basically. And yes, the last thing I will say, because I'm wrapping it up, I'm pretty much done, is I had a milk crate looking crate. All of my expensive yarn was in plastic bags, like you get from drawstring bags, plastic bags. All my acrylics under the bed, my cotton's under the bed. My expensive yarn, stuff I pay good money for, it was in plastic, 2 plastic bags. I had I think I've got like 6 project bags with ongoing things in them, or things I'm fixing to start. All of those, and my needles, were all in this thing. And the kids said, Mama, what are you doing? I said, well, y'all are going to take down your stuffed animals and blankets and blah, 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 all your important stuff. Mom's taking her yarn. My husband could not believe that I took my yarn and my knitting. And so when the storms came through and they said it was just going to be rain and stuff, I said, well, guess I better go get my knitting out so I could sit on the couch and watch it rain and knit. So I had to go pull it out of the tornado shelter. But that's okay. So no bad weather, really, just rain and little hail. Potential threat, I mean, that's the way it is here in Oklahoma, springtime into May, sometimes June. Lots of rain. Large hail. I mean, we've had softball size hail. Had to have our roof replaced, I think it was 5 years ago. So yeah, we have tornadoes. We're right here in Moore. We're in Tornado Alley. So we haven't been hit, luckily, good Lord willing. We've got our shelter. We should be fine. But we may have some more weather tonight come through. We just keep a close eye on it and watch our weather guys. They're a little crazy, but we like them. They let us know what we need to do. We listen to them, have listened to them for our whole lives. So anybody out there that wanted to hear a whole bunch about my life and a lot less about knitting this week, that's what's going on. I hope to see you next week. No craziness happens. So I will see you guys later. Short episode this week. I just didn't have a whole bunch for you, but next week I should have a lot more. I'm back in the groove. Talk to you guys later. Have a safe, fun weekend. Bye.